Welcome. I'm going to call to order the April 7th monthly meeting of the Board of Education. Ms. Meeker, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Boucher.
Here.
Ms. Campbell. Coming. Ms. Hastings.
Here.
Ms. Higgins.
Here.
Mr. Richards.
Here.
Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Ms. Sadowski.
Here.
Ms. Walsh.
Here.
And I am here. We are 8. We will be 9 soon, I believe.
Yes. Approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, subtractions from the agenda?
Did we want to move Van's presentation?
The National Honor Society event has been canceled for this evening, so he's
okay.
Van is going to be with us for the evening.
Fantastic.
Which I'm sorry about. Not because we don't enjoy you, but because
You have to sit here.
you have to sit here. I will ask that we move the capital facilities recommendations B and C to items C and 11, C and D.
Yep.
Anything else? All those in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
If you need a second.
Oh. Did I get a?
You kind of skipped the second, but that's okay.
Mr. Richards seconds. I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hastings. Is there a second? Second. Second by Ms. Boucher. Discussion
I have an
Ms. Meeker.
amendment, please.
on,
To 3K, the final budget session number 9 on page 57. I'm getting there. You will note that there is an incorrect motion noted about halfway down on page 1. It states that it's a motion to remove the SRO position from the budget. This particular vote was actually just to take that issue off the table.
aha. Is there a second to that amendment? Second by Ms. Higgins. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any other amendments to the agenda, the minutes? All those in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Or the consent agenda as amended? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Tonight, we have a special celebration, our Champions for Children Awards, and I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent to kick us off.
Well, thank you. Can I go up?
Yes.
I can.
But take a microphone with you.
Who seconded the
Consent agenda.
Jim.
Oh, thank you.
Belatedly.
So I don't get to do this very often, right? But Mr. Blinn can't be with us this evening. And so I get to bring the champion for children from Abbott Downing, and that's Kate Sims. I think Kate's, come on up, Kate. So Kate, let me read what was written, and no, this is awesome. It really was awesome. So the Abbott Downing staff was proud to nominate you, Kate, for the Champion Children Award in recognition of your outstanding commitment to Abbott Downing School community and your unwavering dedication to supporting the educational needs of all of our kids. Kate has been an integral part of the ADS community for nearly 15 years, and as her youngest child prepares to join the ranks of future Mustangs, I hope you all know that they are the Mustangs over at Abbott Downing, her commitment remains as strong as ever. How many children have gone through?
4 kids, and 3 are almost through, and the last one coming.
So that represents 15 years. I get it. That's awesome. That is so awesome. A dedicated parent, a community volunteer, an active member of the ADS PTO. Kate continuously champions the needs of our students. As PTO treasurer, Kate has demonstrated exceptional leadership by managing financial responsibilities, nothing like running the PTA books, right? Updating software, tax exempt status, all of that. Her work has been vital in sustaining key school activities and initiatives during the very challenging times like they face with COVID, and you did a lot of activities to help the kids stay connected, and that's awesome. Kate's passion for equitable education is evident in everything she does. She tirelessly advocates for all students, encouraging staff to use PTO funds for classroom projects, field trips, and events that benefit the students. She ensures that every child have access to essential school activities, including Popcorn Fridays, and who would miss that, book fairs, and graduation celebrations. You also work very closely with the staff in helping to create systems that allow families to access support. One parent described Kate best. She truly works tirelessly to support the Concord community, and I'm always so impressed with her endless energy. Kate welcomes new members with warmth and positivity, fostering an inclusive environment where everyone feels valued and heard. Kate's dedication to the ADS community and the greater Concord community is immeasurable. We are deeply grateful. I think the staff and Anthony and Jamie are deeply grateful for your years of service and recognize her as a true champion for children. So congratulations.
Take those photos.
Are you taking the chair?
Well, I will if I can get it.
Of course you do.
Hold on, we're going to get a picture.
You're not gonna- Come on back. Look up the Thank you so much.
I think that Mrs. Vance is up next, Beaver Meadow.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome Danielle Wiley, if you would join me up here, please, tonight. I am honored to nominate Danielle Wiley for the 2025 Champion for Children for the Beaver Meadow School Board. As our PTO treasurer for the past 3 years, Danielle has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to our school community. Her dedication goes far beyond her official role, making her an invaluable asset to our organization and a true champion for all of our children. In her capacity as PTO treasurer, Danielle has meticulously managed our funds, our finances, ensuring that every dollar is accounted for and wisely spent. Her financial astuteness has been instrumental in the success of numerous annual fundraisers, which have provided essential resources and opportunities. Oh, here comes her family. For our students.
Perfect timing.
I love it. Oh, perfect. However, it is Danielle's volunteer spirit and tireless efforts that truly set her apart. She has been a driving force behind countless community building events, fostering a sense of unity and a belonging among our students, our families, and our staff. Her enthusiasm and organizational skills have been pivotal in coordinating over 20 school events each year in her role. There's only 9 months, 10 months for the school year, but honestly, over 20 events for our school. We've been very busy. Every event that she has been involved in has been a huge success due to her abilities to work with others and execute details and responsibilities with precision and care. Beyond her organizational expertise, Danielle is deeply committed to enriching the lives of our students. She has spearheaded various student enrichment programs, providing opportunities for learning and growth that extend beyond the classroom. Her passion for education and her genuine care for each student's well-being are evident in everything that she has done. She embodies the spirit of volunteerism and community service. Her selflessness, dedication, and unwavering support have made a lasting impact on our school and our students. Danielle Wiley is most deserving of this recognition. On behalf of Beaver Meadow School, it is my honor tonight to say thank you to Danielle Wiley, who is our 2025 Beaver Meadow Schools Champion for Children.
So our next presenter is our rookie, Kyle. Where are you? Kyle Rakucci. Here you go.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Niederman and Audrey Johnston forward from Carried Away, New Hampshire. Dr. Niederman was one of the first people that reached out to me while I was in Concord this summer, so it's been a great relationship thus far, and I want to thank him. On behalf of Broken Ground, it is with immense pleasure and gratitude that we recognize Carried Away, New Hampshire as our 2024-2025 Champions for Children awardee. Your unwavering commitment to the oral health of our students, and indeed the entire Concord School District, exemplifies the very essence of this prestigious award. Your school-based cavity prevention and treatment program has made a profound and tangible difference in the lives of our children. By volunteering your time and resources to provide free dental support twice a year, you are directly addressing a critical need, ensuring that all students have access to essential health care. This dedication to providing for the needs of all children, regardless of their circumstances, is a testament to your deep-seated belief in equitable access to vital services. You recognize that a child's well-being, including their oral health, is linked to their ability to learn and thrive. By removing barriers to dental care, you are actively promoting educational equity and creating a more supportive and inclusive environment for our students. The impact of Carried Away New Hampshire extends far beyond the provisions of dental care. You are fostering a culture of healthcare and well-being within our school community, empowering students to take ownership of their oral health care and promoting lifelong healthy habits. Your presence at BGS is a source of comfort and support for students and families alike, and your dedication has alleviated many anxieties related to dental care. We deeply appreciate your partnership and your commitment to the children of Broken Ground School. Your compassionate service and dedication to ensuring the well-being of our students make you truly deserving of this recognition. Thank you for being our champion for BGS children.
It's so important.
I know. It's such an indicator.
Next is Mrs. Gallo from Summer College.
Good evening. I'd like to celebrate Heidi Fife. And anyone who wants to come up with her. Okay. Can I stand with you? Okay, good. All right.
Please.
All right. Heidi Fife is a wonderful retired reading specialist from Christa McAuliffe School. She began her retirement 3 years ago, but her time away from CMS didn't last very long. Heidi filled a long-term leave for us last year, and this year she's returned as a frequent volunteer within kindergarten. Better known as Gigi, Heidi works with students in her granddaughter Charlotte's classroom. She is happy to put in long days because working with students and teaching reading are her true passions. She has embraced the opportunity to work with reading groups and create her own lesson plans for those groups. She engages in fun, authentic conversations with the kindergartners about their reading. They laugh together at the funny jokes, make predictions about what will happen next, and make connections to their own lives. Gigi ignites their love for reading. Heidi supports the classroom teacher with clerical tasks and takes on paperwork and numerous projects to complete at home. She also lends a very helpful hand on field trips. For anyone who's attended a kindergarten field trip, you know how essential it is to have dependable adult support. Heidi is able to share classroom responsibilities with the teacher when some students require extra support, whether it be for academic or social reasons. All students feel comfortable with Gigi and look forward to their time with her. Outside of CMS, Heidi continues her volunteer work within the community. She tutors a couple students in reading, one of which she's worked with for over 5 years. Their connection is precious. She also volunteers her time at the Friendly Kitchen for several hours in the morning, often 2 times per week. She cooks between 25 and 30 family-friendly meals, which are sent out to numerous locations, including Head Start, Merrimack Valley Daycare, and Jennings Drive. And if you've ever been fortunate enough to eat any of Heidi's cooking, you know it's amazing. Now, most importantly, why do the kindergarten students love Gigi so much? Here's what they had to say. She reads books to us. She's Charlotte's Gigi. She teaches us how to read books. She watches us read books. Our group has lots of our friends in it. And now I read every night at home. Yeah. I like the books she picks out for us, like The Porcupine is Hiding. We play matching word card games, and whoever has the most cards at the end wins. We get to write on whiteboards. We write words on them, and we do it for a whole 2 minutes. Then they caught on to the fact that there was an award attached, and then they got very curious. Well, wait, are you going to type this up and print it out? Could we decorate it for her? I think it should have books all over it. It needs to say, "Good job, Gigi." And your classmates like you and they thank you. Miss Gallo, can I put all the periods at the end when you're done? And my favorite one, can I have a play date with Gigi? Thank you, Heidi, for sharing your retired life with us, for launching a lifelong reading journey for our youngest learners, and for being our champion for children.
What a resource, huh?
Are you kidding me? That's like the institutional knowledge brought back to the school. Man, I think when I retire, I'm going to chair of the graduate schools. It's my.
I hope I have grandkids so I can do that.
I mean, I'm told my children it's not a prerequisite.
You just find a gaggle of grandkids.
Our last of our elementaries.
We are grateful to have Charlotte, Janet, and Scott here representing the Grace Episcopal Church. Yes.
The instigator in this whole thing is Janet. I am just merely an administrative person. She's really the one who's there.
So you'll get to hear what Janet created at Grace Episcopal Church that has helped countless children and families. We are honored to recognize Grace Episcopal Church as the recipient of the 2024-2025 Champions for Children Award for Millbrook School. Their unwavering support and dedication have made a profound impact on our students and community. Grace Episcopal Church initiated the Take a Tote program in 2010 to address the needs of food insecurity for neighborhood children. It originally served 3 different schools and delivered 7 totes. Over the years, the program has grown significantly, and since 2022, it has focused exclusively on Millbrook School. At that time, the church prepared 60 tote bags filled with a variety of pantry items to ensure families had enough food for the weekend. This initiative has been a lifeline for many families, providing essential nourishment and support. As the needs of the students at Millbrook School evolved, Grace Episcopal Church adapted to support us in new ways. When our school established its own food pantry, the church began supplementing it with hard-to-stock items like rice, dried beans, pasta, and laundry soap. Their flexibility and responsiveness have been invaluable in meeting the changing needs of our community. Grace Episcopal Church's commitment to Millbrook School extends beyond the Take a Tote program. After 2 challenging years of COVID-19 schooling, they generously donated funds to provide a celebration for both students and staff, lifting spirits and fostering a sense of togetherness. Each Thanksgiving, they offer support through holiday baskets or gift cards, ensuring that families can enjoy the holiday season. The church's collaboration with Millbrook School is marked by their willingness to assist with anything we need. Their consistent support and partnership have made them a true community ally, positively impacting countless students. Grace Episcopal Church exemplifies what it means to be a community partner, and we are deeply grateful for their ongoing contributions. Thank you, Grace Episcopal Church, for your dedication and generosity. Your efforts have made a lasting difference in the lives of our students and families.
Next presenter is the middle school principal, Mr. Richard.
Good evening. It is a privilege to recognize Ms. Karen Braz as a Concord champion for children. In the past 2 years, I have quickly learned the profound and positive impact Karen has in our capital city. Karen is the founder of the Children's Theater Project. Her first production, The Wind in the Willows, was performed in 1996. Karen continues to direct the project and has also directed a fall and spring PEG performance at Rundlet Middle School for over a decade. Working with adolescents is both fun and challenging. As we know, this teaching challenge is not for everyone. To teach and direct middle schoolers to a common purpose as a cast team is a remarkable endeavor. It also requires an exclusive talent, soul, and demeanor. Further, I can tell you as a middle school principal, what Karen does for adolescents is unique. Karen's passion for exposing the most challenging age group to the performing arts is extraordinary. I have a private chuckle when Ms. Brass announces auditions for one of her PEG performances. I have learned to know Karen finds a role for everyone who shows up for the auditions. If a student is willing to commit to a production, she will find or create a part for them. Karen is all about kids and makes all kids feel welcome, regardless of their personality or background. Over the years, Karen has taught and directed countless students in our city. Some have gone on to work in bigger cities and Broadway. For most, she has been a role model that provided a safe place where children can be themselves without judgment. Further, Karen has taught all her students it is okay to take risks, that it's okay to try new things, and we can all have a positive role in our world. Karen, thank you for being a champion for children. I want to, just a quick plug, it is show week. That's why Karen's not here, and we'll keep a secret. I'll do this at a performance this weekend. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Dr. Herbert,
Yeah.
you're the last one up.
Hey, good evening. My recipient could not be here with us tonight, but still, nonetheless, I will recognize him. So, on behalf of the Concord High School, I want to extend the deepest gratitude to Dr. Richard Nelson, who has dedicated himself for volunteer work at Concord High School in our mathematics programs. He has made a profound impact on our freshman and advanced mathematics students. Since he first started at Concord High School with a passion for education and wanting to eliminate barriers for students to being successful in mathematics. He began with observing and assisting in advanced pre-calculus and volunteering in Algebra 1 classes. He meets each student and each challenge with great patience and enthusiasm. This year, he's continued his presence every Crimson Day in periods 1 and 3, working with 9th graders and students who have struggled with mathematics to achieve the Algebra 1 competencies and standards. He quickly forms relationships with students, which is essential to his success. He learns their names, he greets them warmly, and engages them deeply in the learning process. He embodies the essence of a champion for children, advocating for the equitable education and student success, and ensuring every child receives the support they need to thrive beyond just helping them with math problems. He instills confidence, fosters curiosity, and creates a positive, welcoming learning environment. It is rare to find somebody who gives so much of their time and energy to enrich the lives of students. His presence at Concord High School has made such a great difference every single day, and we are incredibly grateful for him. Thank you for being a mentor, a role model, and a true advocate for student success. With sincere appreciation, the CHS community. Thank you.
Thank you, and let's congratulate again all of our champions. You are all very welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but I'll take a 2-minute break so that if you would like to leave for some reason, you can.
So I can go.
I could name the reason.
Let's call the meeting back to order. Our next item is recognitions and reports, and we're going to start with our student report from Van McCadden.
Good evening, everybody. Today at CHS, I'm assuming you all know we had an incident today where a threat was written in one of the bathrooms that resulted in the dismissal of all students at 1:30, along with canceling all after-school activities. While this is horrible, I think we are all glad to see how well the school and local law enforcement responded to keep all of our students and faculty safe. And I also feel this can serve as a reminder that we always need to stay alert and that things like this are not always as far away as they may seem, like when we see them on the news. And this incident also canceled the National Honor Society induction tonight, which was inducting over 50 new juniors for next year. And then last week, all juniors took the New Hampshire SAS testing for their science courses. Concord High School not only hosted the New Hampshire Music All-State Festival last week, but also sent 24 musicians, which was the most out of any school this year. And then tomorrow, there will be ASVAB testing, which will be taking place for all interested students. The CHS Tidal Force Robotics team earned a chance to compete in the New England District Championships last month, where they placed 30th out of 48 teams. And then later this month, juniors will also be taking the SATs before we go to spring break. A lot of testing for the juniors. And then when we come back, and last week, CHS Athletics held its version of National Signing Day for all of its athletes who are going to play college sports next year, with 12 athletes attending this event. Last week, CHS also had 24 athletes recognized at the NHIAA Scholar Athlete Ceremony, which was for students participating in multiple varsity sports and maintaining a B+ or better grade average. And then last month, the hockey team also won their state championship in quadruple overtime. And then the junior and senior class worked together to host a talent show last month, which is abnormal, especially for like multiple different classes working together. And I also want to share the report from Abbott Downing. So for April, Abbott Downing had Earth Day. On the Friday of April 15th, they celebrated Earth Day. We had the Department of Educational Services, Environmental Services come, as well as other environmental educators. These people played games with us and taught us about the importance of taking care of the earth and how we can do that. We also had Raponi come in with an electric car. We spent the day hopping around from station to station and ate delicious mud cups. They were not real mud. Earth Day was busy and fun. And then they also had a student union field trip. On April 17th, the Abbott Downing Student Union went on a field trip to the Seacoast Science Center in Rye, New Hampshire. On this field trip, they both explored the Seacoast Science Center and picked up trash around Odiorn Point, a state park in the town of Rye, where the SSC is located. One of the employees taught us about invasive species and what makes them invasive to the environment. That's all. Thank everybody and have a great month.
Thank you. We have under your name Runlet welcome packets. Do you know what that's? Nope. Okay.
Maybe we can get Mr. Rashad to talk about that. Did you have welcome packets that you were going to speak to? Is that your new initiative?
I can.
We could bring it on next month if you want.
Are we talking about the students?
The ambassadors, I believe.
Yes, so I can. We're doing some great work with Sarah Ames, who is contracted through Riverbend. So we're really, I consider it accelerating our student leadership stuff. So when a new student comes into the school now, we assign like a student leader, like ambassador, to make sure the kids are getting a tour throughout the building. And Sarah, in this excellent group of students, has also created like welcome packets. So if you have a rising sixth grader, you're going to be hearing information from me soon what that is mapped out to look like. But they'll actually receive something that student created, like how to do, all about Runlet Middle School and things to be thinking about and how it's different from the elementary school. So it's student ambassadors, and I consider them student leaders.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Questions about that, or just trying to get our Blue Dukes heavily involved in our school community and be leaders.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I've seen it.
Thank you.
Copy of it.
Somehow it got on the agenda.
Yeah.
Glad to answer.
Could be me.
Turning it over to the superintendent.
I'm going to pass it on very quickly to two reports that Kim has, and they're brief, but one is on world language, and I know that that's something that you're all very interested in, and the second piece is our master professional development plan.
Thank you very much. I know that you love updates about what's going on at the high school, Runlet Middle School, all the schools, and so this month we wanted to highlight the Concord World Language. If you want to turn to page 64 in your packet. What you're going to see first on the left side are the enrollments for 2024-25, so last year's enrollments at the high school, and then below that, the enrollments this year. And you'll notice that they're pretty steady. They're pretty close in terms of the enrollments. You might be asking, what do you do about the level 5 courses? And what they do there is they combine level 4 and level 5 together and differentiate accordingly so that students can receive the credits and instruction that they need. On page 65, this is an initiative that was approved last year by the board in terms of hiring an additional world language teacher so that world language, the exploratory world language, which used to take place in 7th grade, whereby students would go and learn about all the different languages that would result in them selecting a choice language for their 8th grade. We moved that exploratory to 6th grade, which has been going really well. It's for one quarter, the students will go and learn about the languages and then select a language to study in 7th grade, which again will accelerate the language experiences that students have into the high school. The proposal next year, which Mr. Richard can speak about if you want to hear more, is to actually have them have 2 quarters next year of world language, so they'll have a little bit more exposure. They were able to work it out without hiring any additional staff. They were able to work it out in their schedule. So it'll be, the equivalent of a half year of exposure to world languages, which would result in them selecting a language to study in 7th and 8th grade. Also highlighted in the packet are various field trips that take place based on the language that students are in, as well as extracurricular opportunities. There are national exams for Latin and German, and clubs as well throughout the high school for students to participate in, should they choose. You'll see there's a new course, world language course proposal. It has not gone to the instructional committee and is not slated for next year. So we'll do a hold on that, which they're very interesting courses in Spanish, Latin roots for science literacy, and Spanish for healthcare. So those, you might see those coming as a proposal for next year. Again, we've highlighted some of the field trips and in a summary statement that we will be going to two quarters next year at Runlet. And then at the very bottom of the page 68, you'll see how the distribution for students would happen at Runlet Middle School in order to make that happen. So I'm just going to ask Mr. Richard, Mr. Herbert, do you have anything to add to that you'd like to highlight? Please feel free. Thank you.
I do. I just want to thank the school board because, as you recall, last year we were just doing a full year experience in 8th grade, and 7th grade was exploratory. This year we expanded it down. In our 6th graders are very enthusiastic, just like we anticipated. Like the younger we start a world language, the more enthusiasm they have for it. It's great to talk to the kids in the cafeteria about their languages. So I just want to thank you publicly. It's going very, very well. As Kim shared, next year the kids will have a half-year experience. The thought is they'll have approximately 10 years of each language, then select for 7th and 8th grade. I expect this might evolve over time and just making decisions of, how do we want to meet the needs of our world language kids. But feel good about it as a school board. So all Blue Dukes, our students will have a half-year experience in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So, thank you.
I think you have a couple of board members whose 6th graders are benefiting from this exploratory program.
Very much so.
That's great.
Anecdotally, reviews are in.
Yeah.
And it's very
Two thumbs up.
2 thumbs up from
Thank
the
you.
kiddos.
The kids love it.
Yeah.
So,
Y'all are doing a great job.
thanks. Appreciate the support.
Thank you. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is on page 70, we have a letter from the Department of Education indicating that our professional development master plan was approved. If you recall, I brought that master plan to you in the fall. It takes a little while to go through the process at the department. It's very involved, very lengthy. We need to show exactly how it is that our educators will be credentialed, what the pathway is for that to happen. What are the requirements for the number of hours of professional development in different endorsement areas. It's very, very complex. It is live right now on our website as an approved plan.
Great, thank you. Superintendent?
So if you'll bear with me tonight, I do have a number of things to discuss with you. But the first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the cover to the book. Every month when we have a meeting, it's usually the school that's celebrating, so we put pictures of their school. Well, this month, of course, we didn't have a specific school, but what's on your cover is recognizing, and Van mentioned this, so he took a lot of steam out of my report. I'm going to have, quite honestly, I think I'm going to have you write my reports every month. But the first picture is, March was a month of music, right? Yep. Tons of concerts and choral and orchestra and so forth. So that's a sample of that. The middle one, of course, is our ice hockey team, our state champs. What a fabulous game. I did attend it, and it was a long game, but it was unbelievable. And those boys were so disciplined in their approach to their game. It was amazing. And lastly, we have some great track athletes. They did very well in winter track, and we'll see, again, some of those same faces in spring track. But we decided this month to give you a little picture of the co-curricular kinds of things that we offer for the kids.
Nice. I will say Annie at Broken Ground was a hit. Everybody did a great job.
Right, they did. That was great. There's just so many wonderful opportunities, and the nice part is then they move up to middle school. And so you heard about Karen and her work at the middle school with a play, and then it continues on with Clint at the high school, and it just really gives kids an opportunity. So it's quite nice for all the kids to be involved. I had a couple things that I wanted to talk about tonight. I want to make sure I follow the agenda, whatever was on the agenda first.
Last day of school.
Last day of school, that's on me. Everybody keeps asking me about. So I woke up this morning, and I was going to wake up early. I get up early when we have bad weather because I worry about, drive and the buses and all that. And we always talk in the morning, and we talk with Public Works, and I don't look out my window and it's snowing this morning, and I'm thinking, how am I going to tell the board tonight that I am recommending to them that the last day of school be June 17th. That meets our requirements. As you know, we have 177 days, and the department allows us to do that based on hours, which 945 hours for elementary, 990 hours for high school. We exceed that. We're comfortable with that number. I'm sure you know that if I could have the kids in school longer, I would, but I also respect the needs of breaks and so forth. But I am recommending to you the 17th of June.
Do you need a vote on that?
You always have as a good way to...
So I'm going to make that E,
Okay.
11E. While you're on that, I just want to remind people who are thinking ahead to next summer that because the winter break will be longer than normal because of the way Christmas and New Year's fall, that the earliest possible last day of school next year will be June 16th.
Right.
And it could go into June 23rd. So as you're planning,
And your vacation's important.
think ahead that it's definitely not going to be earlier than the 16th.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that. I found that we got really a lot of positive feedback last year from families whose youngsters had camp experiences, vacations. They really liked. We got out last year in June 13th. We were closed this year. We had 2 snow days, which put us into the next week. But it is a time when people want to take a break, and the kids go to camp and all those kinds of things. So that's important. We also saw that the teachers they came back to school earlier in terms of setting up their classrooms. They were with us earlier because they had an extra week last year in between the breaks. So I like that. early schedule, but it does
But we
depend
will
on a
not have
calendar.
it next year.
I will do our, we'll, maybe no snow or something.
Superintendent,
I
could you
don't-
remind me of the graduation day for this year?
January, June, Tim probably just rolled over. June 14th.
I'll June 14th.
Yeah, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock at Memorial Field, weather permitting.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm hoping the weather will bear with us and have a nice day. We have scheduled an HVAC timeline at CHS, but Matt's not able to be with us tonight. So if that's okay, I'd like to add that to the next agenda for May, if you don't mind. I have a couple of topics that I would like to talk a little bit about. The first one is a document that's in front of you, and you'll see on the first page it says directions, and if you flip the page, it's a document that I must sign. It has sent to me on Friday afternoon, and I must sign it by April 10th. I have not signed this document yet. This document attests to the fact that there is no discrimination in the district. And it's interesting because this district's foundation is built on an inclusive environment for all students, and not just black and brown students, not just students who are homeless, not just students who may have financial challenges or students who have learning challenges, because all of those children are part of who we are in this community. So it's really difficult for me to think that that our work around all of our children that we serve every single day, and these folks and the principals that were here tonight and the ones that are still here remain committed, and you as a board have developed policy that articulates that foundation. And so I was shocked to think that they would push this forward. There is things in here around our DEI work, which is critical to us. And again, I repeated it over and over again. DEI, J, is about all of our children. The ones that I just mentioned in terms of students who have particular needs. And so that work has always been about equity for all, and making sure that all of our children in this community that our families support have opportunities to be successful. So this is the document that I have to sign. I'm waiting to sign it. I'm looking for some legal advice, of which I'm anticipating before I put my name on it. Just know that that there's a consequence if this is not signed by April 10th at 5 p.m., and that is that the federal funds that we get here in Concord could be taken away from us. And you know, that's not something that I take lightly. We have on our entitlements alone around $4 or $5 million that we get in entitlements to help support some of the programs I just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Special ed, Title I, homeless, all of those programs. In addition, on an annual basis, remember, we have federal grants that were competitive outside of an entitlement. You understand that difference, right? Mm-hmm. So when we compete for this money, that ratchets up our amount over the course of a year up to $6 to $7 million of federal funds. So this is serious business when it comes to that. There's no way that as your superintendent would ever put this district in jeopardy, but I am waiting for legal advice before I move forward. But I thought it was really important that you all see this document. And I would take questions on that.
Ms. Hastings.
I'm looking at page 3, number 2, where it states that not only could we lose future, but we may be required to repay previously received funds.
They set the rules, and the consequences. These all came out of these executive orders that we have been obliged to follow. This isn't the only executive order that we have to be accountable for. So we're being very conscious of those, but they set the rules.
And are we looking at making any changes in how we word things?
We've been, we've always been, any work that we're doing around our DEI work, we're very careful. All of our contracts are reviewed by legal counsel, so we make sure that nothing would be in violation of these orders.
All right, thank you. It's very concerning.
I know you're talking to our legal counsel, and I think one of the concerns that we do not have quotas. We don't teach critical race theory in the district. We have been striving to make sure that all kids have access to our programs, and that's not based on color. It's based on income. It's based on physical abilities occasionally. And I do worry that, so I don't believe we discriminate and we are following the civil rights laws. I do worry about how this is being interpreted nationally. The Naval Academy pulled 400 books from their library because they talk about feminism and racism historically. Even the National Park Service is rewriting its historical landmark pages to talk about the Underground Railroad, not in relation to slavery, but as an example of black-white cooperation, which in certain cases it was, but it was about helping people escape slavery, first and foremost. I think we have to be very careful that, and we have to continue to monitor this to, I think we share as a value that we want to make sure our kids are exposed to lots of ideas and the full range of American history and thought.
I think this might be really good timing for us to start looking at our contracts, because House Finance snuck into this same kind of language into HB 2 when they approved their budget to be sent forward to the full House. Just like the divisive concepts law and vouchers and, just more back end and avoiding public scrutiny. So I imagine that we will have to be dealing with more of this down the road. And it's disappointing.
As you know, we more and more, certainly John and Kim deal with this also.
Yeah.
More and more, we're having our contracts scrutinized by legal eye.
Mm-hmm.
We have very clear policy too, so that's a guiding light for us also. So, but I agree that we need to be very aware and cognizant of the ramifications of these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I am by no means an expert in any of this, so my question for you is to conceptualize the impact this has on us. Once we sign this and this goes in effect, do you have examples of some things that we may need to stop doing? Like, would this stop our work with the DEI company that we hired? Like, what are some things that we will...
I don't believe that we have anything that plays outside of this ruling. But again, it's everyone's interpretation of the words and the rules and how one could perceive it. One would argue the books that were taken off the shelf at the Naval Academy, you could argue that for a long time. What does that have to do? But it's someone's interpretation of the rules. So that we might be faced with. We've not had any questions about any of our contracts or that we were outside of the work that we believe in as a district in an inclusive environment.
Thank you. Any other on this topic? Ms. Meeker?
You say we're talking to legal. Do we know of any other legal actions being taken by other districts or other entities against this particular?
My understanding is that ACLU will be petitioning courts on Wednesday regarding this particular document.
Straight
That's
to
all I know.
litigation.
But other than that, I don't know. I'm getting some advice from our association, the Superintendent's Association, and pretty regularly, but I haven't gotten anything yet that tells me that any other district is struggling with any components of this. You know, New Hampshire's a funny place, right? Because, you know, your cities like Manchester, Nashua, Rochester, Laconia are different than perhaps some of the smaller towns. So our demographics are much more diverse, therefore requiring us to step up and do some other things to make sure that we are providing equity, right? So but at this point, I haven't heard.
And are you able to share the legal advice that you receive?
We
on
can
this
go. We
with-
can have a non-public later.
Yeah. Okay.
If
Yeah, I
you'd
could-
like to discuss that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to continue.
Yeah.
This has been a very interesting last couple of weeks. I wanted to respond to an article that I read in the paper around special education and the work that the Lakes Region area was doing around looking at special ed. So it all started, you know that John, Kim, and I all attend Lakes Region's meetings. Kim attends the CIA, Curriculum Instruction Assessment, John goes to the special ed, and I attend superintendents. It's fabulous. They bring speakers in, they keep us informed, we understand legislation. It's really important. And we're Concord, we want to be there, we want to be visible, right? So the Lakes Region superintendents, as we all have seen, you've heard from John, we've all struggled with special education, right? We've struggled with transportation, which you all have decided we're gonna try to figure that out, and we're gonna come up with a plan. But there are a lot of schools that have other struggles. We've struggled with out-of-district placements. You know that. There are not suitable locations to help with some of our students who may need more than this district can offer. They may need more than the capacity that we have to be able to help them. And so John and his team always look to see working with the families, right, to find locations to help, an out-of-district placement. That's really been our only challenge. We'd like to keep our kids close. So some of the other issues have been, we've got kids in Massachusetts, we've got kids in Maine, in Vermont. It's very difficult. That's a distance, you know, so we're very conscientious of that. But for the most part, you know, John and his team have done a great job in terms of making sure we're taking care of all of our kids. But the Lakes Region decided to hold a meeting to talk about special education and the costs associated with it. There are districts that are not as fortunate as us. They are not easily able to hire a speech and language therapist, a PT, an OT, all those very difficult positions to hire, in nursing, by the way, because nursing can be a challenge, as you know. We've been fortunate in that area, but they decided to hold a meeting and talk about it. So John went. Of course he would go, and attended the meeting and heard as all the other districts talked about their needs. You may or may not know that we have several consortium kinds of groups in the state. I happened to be part of one when I was in the Seacoast, at Seacoast Learning Collab over in Newton, I think it's in now. There's one in Rochester, the Stratford Learning Community, and also Ceresque, which is in South Central. They offer that same kind of support. So if you need a speech and language, you need a school psychologist, you need somebody, you can contact these groups and they'll help you. Or in the case of Stratford and Seacoast Learning Community, they actually have programs at their school, but they're right in the communities that they serve. And so I think our superintendents wanted to be able to have our assistants in charge of special education look at this and see, was there a way we could work together, help reduce costs? That's what it was all about, really, and provide the services that our children needed. It isn't something that Concord can gravitate to because it's not, we're there, we have those services. Many of our sister schools aren't as fortunate. But John went, and the newspaper had us as a player, and of course we would be a player. We're part of that Lakes region. I've always felt that you, as a board, expected us, particularly the three of us, to be out there and looking and listening and exploring and challenging ourselves to find solutions. Some are good and some aren't so good. I've presented solutions that some people don't always agree with, and I get that, right? And that's okay. But we have a job to do, and that's all John was doing. We are not looking to institutionalize our children. We are not looking to build a mini Laconia State School. We are not, that is not our intent at all. Concord, as I said it just a few minutes ago, believes in an inclusive environment where children are in their natural settings with their peers. And I, as your superintendent, am committed to that. I always have been, and I will continue to be committed to that, as well as all the people that serve. And I look around the room, our staff is committed to that. So I'll answer any questions. I think I covered most of it.
Hi. I'm just going to jump right in because I've seen the language of the consortium agreement and the memorandum of understanding that came from the Lakes region. I think Concord School District's name is on it as a potential participant. So I was just curious if you had seen that language, if it was something that you had planned to bring to us to review, anything like that?
No.
No.
Now, there's another, you might be, there's one, the special ed. There's also one about sharing courses. That may be the one you're talking about.
There's two documents that I was given. One is the Lakes Region Consortium, which is a 10-year agreement that I believe has curricular pieces to it.
That is let me give you an example. For instance, when Franklin was struggling finding teachers, remember last fall? I reached out to Franklin to see if we could help them at Concord High School because we had those classes. So it's a consortium. We haven't finalized all the language yet, but it's a group that's coming together to say, can we help each other out with that kind? Now, I'm not sending students to another high school because I have those classes, right? I'm not looking to do that, but I am willing to talk with another school district if they need an advanced, maybe an AP class, or the CTE doesn't matter because they're coming anyway. They come to us via those contracts. So I think maybe that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I need to look again. It's on my phone, so I apologize. I'm
don't-
not going to go
yeah,
digging
we-
for
I
it. but
haven't-
My understanding is that we're included in this potential consortium. It's 10 years. It's that curricular exchange that we were talking
Right.
about. But it does say that the superintendent is authorized to sign it with the permission of the board.
Right,
So
well, I haven't-
as the authorizing
yeah,
body, I was
haven't-
just curious if
I
you were
haven't
going to.
finalized anything yet with that, so
Okay.
when I'm ready and I understand all the pieces of it, I'll bring it to you, whether I think it's a good thing or not.
Great.
Okay.
And then, I mean, because just on preliminary reading, it seems like a great idea. We want to collaborate. We want to have shared services. This makes perfect sense to me. The additional document, the memorandum of understanding, feels a little less articulate than the consortium document that I noticed. It's 1 year, and that's where the language is around building, like having talks around building a separate school. The language is fairly vague. I don't mind I don't mind as a district having those conversations. What I'm interested in is what the district's position is when we have those conversations. So, if we're going to have a conversation around building a special school, if the district's position is we do not support that, then I still think that we're capable of signing a memorandum of understanding to have those discussions. And so I was just curious if you were looking into that. I see Sarah's got some questions too. Sarah?
Oh, no. I merely wanted to make a statement that I think these kind of conversations can be harmful, and I think that we should have segregationist thinking off the table.
Okay.
I would also like to add
that I think we need to recognize that this is a manufactured economic imperative. Yes, we're struggling, but it's because the feds have failed to fully fund IDEA. It's because we don't have a sustainable state structure for school funding. This is a manufactured economic imperative, and we cannot let it drive segregationist thinking.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Questions? Anything else? So I'm just going to follow up quickly on Van's comments about what happened today at Concord High School. And Van really, like, he did a great job at just presenting it, but we did get a message that there was some threat written on a wall in a bathroom. Our SRO was involved, our administrators. They have looked at video. We have video in the hallways. So, we know the ins and outs. So they're reviewing that and looking at writing samples. And the police were involved. I immediately called Chief Osgood and asked, told him what the situation was. He was aware of that and asked him for an increased patrol. He did. He sent up additional police. So the parents may have seen additional police, but just you really to walk through the building, be in the building, because that kind of event, as Van's articulated, really puts a lot of anxiety. Nobody needs that, right? So we wanted to make sure that people were comforted by the presence of our police officers. We will continue to investigate. We don't know who perpetrated that event, but we will continue to look into it. And again, the consequences are severe because it didn't affect one youngster. It affected an entire school and staff and families and parents, because we have to send out messages and get the information out. So I'll keep you posted on that. The one, I think Van made a really good point. He said that it was I guess taking some good out of it, right? That we just ran through an exercise and dismissing and getting the communication out. I thank Terry. Terry was right there helping with that. And Tim also sent some information out. But we got the buses there. Terry had the buses there on a spot. Special ed, our smaller vans were there to get youngsters. That all worked out very nicely. And interesting, we had to remember Deerfield, right? Well, their bus was running late. We got a call. They're on their way. Now I got to move those kids. Tim escorted, I understand, our principal, Dr. Herbert, escorted them to Memorial Field, which is a perfect place. Terry got a bus over there, so they sat on the bus, in a warm bus, because it was a little chilly today. And then the Deerfield bus came and picked up the youngsters and took them home to Deerfield. So, all those little pieces, it was a good exercise. I don't want to have another exercise, thank you, but it is a good exercise when something is real rather than staged. And we do staged ones, right, all the time. But having something that was a little bit more meaningful, I thought, gave everybody an idea about what works and what doesn't work. And I will debrief with them in the morning, Tim and his team.
Ms. Hastings?
On a somewhat related, and if this isn't the appropriate time, please do let me know. I have talked to some parents and some staff at elementary schools and other in the middle schools, as well as at the high school, about elevating disturbances in classrooms and classrooms being wrecked by behaviors. And I just want to be sure that we're being thoughtful and aware that these disturbances affect other students as well. It interrupts learning, and that I hope that we're handling them and these disturbances and getting the child that's causing the disturbances the help they need, but also trying very hard to limit the cause of loss of education to the other students in the schools or in the classrooms, because it really is disruptive And it really does cause loss of learning when you're constantly being evacuated from a classroom to help another student. So I want to be sure that while we're being sensitive to the needs of the student in the need, that we're not neglecting the students that we're learning. So I don't know how we do that. I don't know how exactly we can do that. I guess I'm looking to make sure that if we have a student who's having these outbursts frequently, that they're getting the help they need in the right program so that others aren't losing their learning.
So I can speak in general because we're going to be in
It's a general thing, yep.
You know, that all of, we have CPI trainers, so in non-crisis violent, non-crisis intervention. We train a lot of our staff in that. We have 6 trainers throughout the district that continually do this through professional development opportunities to handle this in a safe way for all of those involved. We have done a ton with restorative practices, as you are aware, and trying to help create the environment that is, although inclusive, also shows that sense of responsibility to the community. And we've done that. Continue to do that. We know our, referral and special ed process. Those are very solid in place. So if there is a situation with a child, they take them through that process if need so, and we program and plan for each of those children based on their needs. In doing so, creating that inclusive environment that yes, does it happen? Others sometimes. Do we try to limit them? Yes. If not, do we meet about them? Yes, we do, and continue to meet about them.
And we have a program at Beaver Meadow, as you know, for youngsters that may have some challenges around those behavioral impulses, right, as well as at the middle and high school. So those are in place. There's, again, I will reiterate, we do have students that we don't have the capacity sometimes. It's very rare, because you don't send a lot of children out of this district, by the way. About, I don't know, John, you told me 15 that we place, another 10 maybe, 9 is 24. So 9 that are placed by the courts. So please understand, we do everything to keep our kids there. And John's right about all the programs. There are occasions, you are absolutely right. And we have to continue to make sure that we have the systems in place to be able to do that. But not just for the youngster that's struggling, but also for the students who see that and it's hard for them. I concur.
Yeah, I would add, as a parent of a kiddo, of 2 kiddos in the district, they've both experienced reverse evacuations. And what I appreciate about the culture in Concord schools is that the kiddos understand where that child is coming from, that they understand, oh, they need extra intervention. I'm fine with standing in the hallway for a minute to have everybody calm down. So I can imagine that when we're presented with these scenarios, it's very easy to assume that everyone's pearl clutching and, oh my God, what are we gonna do? My learning time is disrupted. These kiddos are very integrated into their community, and my kids know their friends with behavior issues. It's just a thing that happens.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that. I think it was more that the classes were being interrupted frequently, and so learning is lost because we've got these educators on a pretty tight schedule, for reading and math and when they can teach and how long they need to be teaching. And if you're leaving your math class 3 or 4 times a week, that's affecting your math learning. And that's what I think we have to be very careful of.
Wait, can I get, are people leaving the classroom 3 to 4 times a week? Is that factually accurate?
Yeah, I don't. And we may need to go into it. We can discuss this in a non-public as well, because I don't
we have that data.
I don't have data to support any of that.
The data is very clear that inclusion is best practice. It's best practice
I'm not
for
saying
the
it's
children
not,
with.
Sarah. But Liz is telling you her daughter has been.
So I think we'll.
I think your point is well taken. We need to continue to put in systems in place to help our youngsters be able to be included in the environment. There are occasions, though, when we do have a program still in our district that helps those youngsters with those behaviors. John has done a wonderful job at making sure that we hire people with BCA backgrounds, right? Behavioral backgrounds, so that they can work and intervene. And, you know, I've been in classrooms, I've been with youngsters who lose it in this district when I'm just doing my tours, right? And I hate to see it too. But I would say that our staff and our administrators are working hard to address it. And remember, this isn't just them, it's everybody sitting down at the table in an IEP and determining what the right things are for that youngster. So we have that process in place. Your point is well taken.
Thank you. I'm going to let Mr. Fabrizio have the last word and then try and get us back on track because we still have quite a bit of an agenda.
I just want to be careful here too, because it's
Sorry.
going down a strange road too here that I have no identifying information that these child are identified with disabilities. I have no identifying information of who these child are, so I want to be careful not to assume
Right.
that all students who have disruptive, upset behavior fall into that category of having an IEP. I just want to be very careful because a lot of people get upset, a lot of people have issues, a lot of people happen throughout a given day when you have 4,000 students and a lot of adults.
And
It's
none
an
of
environment we
it
have to live in.
necessarily relates to somebody threatening on a bathroom wall at the high school. I mean, it's an important issue, but I do want to make clear that these are separate issues. Okay. Do you have anything else?
I think I've done enough, said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Richards, for the Capital Facilities Committee report.
Thank you. So on April 2nd, the Capital Facilities Committee met. The items we discussed at that point was definitely a recap, more of an overview and recap of the presentation regarding renovation discussions that was made with the building committee. Some of the feedback from the building committee, as you know, some members of the community wanted us to take a look at that again. We had looked at it several times before, but we did look at it again, and renovation is a very, it's possible in some instances, but not in this particular instance, without being very, very expensive, almost equal or close to equal to the building of a new school. Reasons for that involved the electrical systems, the HVAC systems, the structural integrity of the foundations and the walls to be able to hold up the weight, security systems, and life safety systems as well. So you're essentially having to rebuild just about everything there. So that discussion was presented. The building committee, some of our experts on the building committee had probably even stronger statements on that, but that was covered. We also covered state building aid at this time, as I'm sure everybody here knows, is that the state building aid is not being included in the governor's budget or the budget that is up for approval, but we won't really know anything about that budget until probably the end of June. Mr. Dunn was good enough to present the financial impact of building at South Street with no building aid. And then we looked at options that the committee had to recommend to this board. First, and I'll be asking for votes or ask the president to please to bring these to a vote. The first is that to stay on the list of people or of school districts in line for building aid. There are numerous requirements. We are currently ranked second on that list of what was 17 and I believe is growing now to 19. And we would like to stay on that list until we know, more about building aid and more about what direction we would be going. So to do that, we will have to approve a letter of intent to stay on the list a little bit later. Ms. Walsh, do you want to add anything with regards to the requirements?
Yes, because there's just 4 things we have to make sure we cover for in the minutes, that we would be agreeing to a notice of intent to stay on the list, which would go into the next biennium as well. We will have, oh wait, I'm sorry, this is the wrong.
Is it in G, page 5 of 6? Attachments, meeting minutes from the school board?
The project still remains as described as in the, school district's application, and the price currently estimated is, Mr. Dunn?
29.
No, that's for the design. The price, for the building aid, the price as currently estimated is
164,623,927.
164,693.
623.
623,197. And that if selected for the project, of course, there would still be required a vote from this board, a majority vote, to decide whether to accept building aid and to go forward with the project, so.
Okay, thank you. The other motion and the other action that was taken was a decision with regards to some options, first option being to move forward with schematic design and design development at the South Street site for a new school. This is an estimated cost of $2,985,908. This would replicate the money we spent and the work that we had done at the Broken Ground School, and has been asked for by numerous people in the community. The other option is, if there's no building aid, to develop a plan to do the needed repairs as required and just keep the building operational until building aid returns. And then any other options, but there were not any presented. The committee voted 4-0 in favor of option number 1 to move forward with schematic design, and we recommended that, or we do recommend that to the board. So those votes will be coming up after public comment.
Yep, which was also the recommendation of the building
committee. The building committee also had that recommendation, and just to remind everybody here on the board, the building committee was made up not just of a few school board members, but also members of the educational community, members of the overall community, and experts in construction and building. We tried to make that as broad as possible, and their recommendation was the same. So unless there are questions?
I do just have a technical comment. We do need to move to approve the minutes.
Us.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Meeker. So I would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Richards, second by Ms. Robinson. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those will be items 11C, those votes will be 11C and D.
Thank you, Ms. Meeker, and thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Finance, Ms. Campbell.
We will be meeting next week on the 14th, but included in this, our booklet, is the federal audit report, in addition to the finance report, which I will happily pass over to Jack to review.
So the report in your monthly book from pages 75 to 82 is just a snapshot as of April 2nd. And the same accounts continue to be overdrawn at the moment, but there's some encumbrances there that could be freed up depending on where things run this year. So I'm looking on page 77 as I look at the professional services for pupils. That's various consultants as it relates to with student services and substitute nursing, as well as our EYP program and behavioral specialists. Repairs and maintenance in the next group, the 643,000. That you could see as 170,000 encumbered, but 44,000 to the negative. We'll see where that ends up, but it will probably wind up being a negative account based on the needs of 1 million square feet. And then I go to page 78 and look at the transportation, as you know, we're working on, and that is running at about $1 million over at the moment. And then you're out of district tuition, a little bit further down.
that negative 741,000, but there's encumbered 1.5 million. So again, as we mentioned, if a student is going to an out-of-district placement, we encumber that and keep it until, and that is a daily, maybe John can speak to, daily changing event. So, it's what we know at the moment. Other than that, I think everything else on the expense side should be okay. And right now, we'll begin going through all these open purchase orders, closing things out. We got about another month and a half of purchases, almost maybe a month. Usually about mid-May, we shut down the fiscal year and only put through what's absolutely needed to get to the end of the year, so that we can start getting an idea of what year-end will look like and what your unassigned fund balance will look like. So, next month, we'll try to have a little bit of a projection for you, because we'll have about 45 days left in the year, but then once the kids walk out the door, there's the closeout. But we'll begin doing that process this month. So, okay. And as Ms. Campbell mentioned, in there is the report from our auditors on the federal grants, and simply put, they did not find any findings.
That's great.
So that's a tribute to Ellen, and as well as the rest of the business office staff that do a good job and putting a spotlight on it. So, thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you. Love it. Ms. Campbell, anything else to add? Any questions? That's great. All right. Moving on to communications and policy. The speaker.
Hello, everyone. Shall we take a little trip down policy lane together tonight? We have a few policies coming before you tonight on second reading. I'm going to list them off, and then I'm going to list off what I'm bringing to you tonight on first reading. After public comment, I will be asking for votes on Policy 544 regarding weapons and firearms on school property, Policy 161, our non-discrimination, equal opportunity employment, and anti-discrimination policy and associated plan, and Policy 161.1 regarding discrimination and harassment grievance procedure. If you head to page 94, you are going to see those policies in front of you. What is unique tonight that we don't normally see is that all of these have amendments. On page 94, unfortunately, it wasn't highlighted here. It's a clean copy, but the Policy 544 is exactly the same as what we saw in first reading, with one amendment that was brought by President Walsh and reviewed by the policy committee at our last meeting. It is for the full board to vote on, but the committee did vote to support the amendment. So I just want to let you know that it is supported by the committee. I am going to point it out, so if you want to underline it for your own study, that's up to you. It's page 1, Rome 2, number 1, regarding weapons and firearms on school property. The third, fourth sentence is new. It now reads, members of the public who violate this policy will be asked to remove their weapon or firearm from school property immediately and will be reported to local law enforcement if the weapon or firearm is used in a threatening, harassing, or intimidating manner. If a member of the public refuses to remove their weapon or firearm after being requested to do so, they may be reported to federal law enforcement. This is new language. The district has seen it. KFA, our intrepid lawyer who helps us with these policies, has seen it and has approved it. So I just wanted to let you know that is up for discussion tonight, but I will just move to approve it as amended. Are there any questions on that?
No.
Excellent. Let's turn the page. What you have on page 97 is Concord School District Policy 161. If you remember, this is going to be a repeal and replace. That is neither here nor there. We've already discussed it. If you look through the policy, you will see in red what is going to be amended between first reading and second reading. Basically, this was recommendations that came in from the New Hampshire School Board Association mere moments after the committee approved it for the full board. So this is really a technical update. If you remember, there were some Title IX changes in 2024 that were reverted back to the 2020 version. This is really just to realign that policy with the 2020 version. So you'll see, like, for instance, on page 102 and 103, there's a bunch of red language that is crossed out. I think that is because it was inserted and then removed. That's where we're at with that. I know. And also, we made sure to note that the Boy Scouts are equally protected under the law. So there's that. Any questions on that? No. Okay. All right. Pages 105 through 1011 is, wait, hold on. Is the clean version.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's the clean version.
Okay, cool.
If you fast forward to page 113, that is the associated plan. We don't really vote to approve plans, but it's attached to the policy, so it's just in the book for you to review. There are no changes to that from the last time you saw it on first reading. On page 118, you will see Board Policy 161.1 regarding discrimination and harassment grievance procedure. This is a new policy, and again, NHSBA came out with technical amendments mere moments after we approved it to the full board. So you will now see some red and highlighted language. Unfortunately, it's a little unclean. We would have preferred to have the highlighted language unhighlighted, but it all means the same thing, which is that we're adding in language from the NHSBA's recommendation, and if that red language is crossed out, it means it's not relevant to us, and we have taken it out. Does anyone have any questions on that? No. Excellent. And then starting on page 127, you have the clean version of 161.
Nice.
With that, you will see our first in the series of first readings. These kind of go together thematically. I will read them for the titles. Tonight, we bring to you Policy 528 regarding accommodation of pregnancy and related medical conditions as it relates to students. Policy 528.1, accommodation of pregnancy and related medical conditions as it relates to personnel. 528.2, the accommodation of people with lactation needs. The title is incorrect in the agenda, but we've updated it, and it should be good on the actual policy. And Policy 303, which is not related, electronic and digital signatures, or records and signatures. I will leave it to the committee to provide any comments they have about these, but they are first reading, so we don't really have to discuss them tonight. I will say that 303 is here because, if you remember, we did the whole 300 series recently in policy, and this point came up, which is that we use electronic signatures, but we don't have a policy. So this is recommended by the NHSBA, it's been vetted by our business office, and so we fully support it. Would anyone else from the committee like to comment on any of those things?
It's a lot.
Any questions or just questions, Mr. Richard?
I will just make one comment, and I just wanted to thank Ms. Boucher with regards to Policy 544. The safe weapons storage education is an important part of that policy. As both as gun owners or as non-gun owners, whoever you happen to be, I think everyone is in agreement that keeping weapons safely stored, because of the dangers they present to children, is a great thing to be educating people on, and I appreciate that inclusion there.
Nice. Thank you. Anything else? All right, we will vote on those items after public comment. Next item is negotiations and the CAA contract, and we just lost Mr. John.
I can tap dance a little longer.
But the
Feel free.
CAA contract summary, that is our administrators. That is on page 150. Michelle is here, yes, of course.
Okay, so the terms for the Concord Administrator Association agreement. It would be a 3-year contract. There would be wage increases, 3.5, 3.5, and 3. The total new money over 3 years is $436,000. There is new language on 403B matching costs. We did transition into the new orange and yellow 2.0 health plans. There is incorporating the language of an MOU to carry over vacation days in the final year of an administrator, as they have given their notice by August 31st of their intent to retire. We cleaned up some disability language and beneficiary language. We added a sick bank for FMLA purposes, requiring superintendent approval. We've agreed to reformat the contract. A career longevity payment requires a 1 or 2 year notice. We adjusted the language for dues. And again, all members will be moving to the 2.0 plans as of July 1st, 25.
Thank you. Mr. Don, do you have anything to add? CAA contract.
Forward-thinking group, I will tell you that.
Good. Thank you.
Very good to work with.
Questions from the board? No. Ms. Sadowski, yes.
Could I ask about what the sick bank setup looks like? Do we not have a sick bank at the moment? Sorry.
They do not have a sick bank at this time. It's set up for FMLA qualifying events.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's just the administrators. There are sick banks with
Correct.
other contract groups.
Okay.
Others? Okay, great. I'm going to open for public hearing. Mr. Dunn, if you could pass down the sign-up sheet, but you may still sign up. We have 30 minutes for public hearing. I'd ask you to try and keep your remarks to about 3 minutes. If you haven't signed in, please sign in. First up is Ms. Mead.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank everyone for coming tonight on the board and in the back. Okay, so I'm going to start. I reviewed the Concord School District Policy Number 300 Fiscal Management Plan, which was revised in November of last year. It states the school board recognizes the importance of excellent fiscal management in managing public resources to achieve the goals of the educational plan of the district. The board will be vigilant in fulfilling its responsibility to see that these funds are used wisely to achieve purposes of which they're allocated. I assert that the public resources mentioned in this policy statement include school budget funds raised by local property taxes and school buildings, all assets. Therefore, it is essential to evaluate how our school board is performing in terms of fiscal management regarding these public resources. Are their actions aligned with the prudent management of public resources as stipulated in the plan? What fiduciary duties do school board members owe to the citizens they represent? I contend that the school board members' duties include safeguarding taxpayer assets or resources. Pretty simple. We all have that in our own lives, probably with our own financial accountants or managers. According to the district policy, any delay in addressing any deficiencies in any of the schools, despite having emergency funds available, indicates fiscal irresponsibility on the part of the school board. Let's consider the recent actions taken by our school board. The Runlet Middle School, as you know, has many long-standing deficiencies. The roof is leaking. We've got other issues, electrical. You guys all know the drill. Everybody in the back does too. Okay, and recently I heard that taxpayer funds were being allocated for another round of repairs to the roof, costing approximately $70,000. I might be wrong, but I thought that's what I heard. Choosing to repair rather than replace the entire roof and address potential structural damage and mold could lead to higher costs to taxpayers in the future, especially if we decide to hold off building a new school and maybe utilize the new, the original school that we have, fix it up, maintain it for a little while, maybe get some state funding down the road. That might be kind of wise, but that's to be discussed. There is also a proposal to pay the architects for new schematic designs, and I think you guys might have already voted on that. I'm not sure. That was something I might have heard for the Runlet School. It's my understanding that there already are existing plans for that school, and an independent owner property manager should determine if the current plans could be modified or adjusted. Furthermore, why has the school board not solicited independent bids for construction companies for renovating Runlet and presented them as another option, like option 3, maybe 4, I don't know. The school district emergency maintenance fund has approximately, is it 15 million in the fund? I'm not sure, but I heard that somewhere too. This money should be utilized now to replace the roof and address the other issues in the school. Prioritizing a good credit score for the school district over fixing overdue maintenance and other issues at the middle school seems kind of misguided to me. That's my own personal opinion, but that's how I feel. Now, I offer the following.
Wrap up, please.
What?
If you could wrap up, please.
Okay, I'll skip that paragraph. I'll go right to the end. How's that? It won't take long. Finally, I reference a quote by Lord Acton regarding absolute power, which pertains to complete and unlimited authority or control. This concept often relates to governance or leadership, where one entity holds total sway without checks and balances. The amendments passed last November conveyed voters' desire to be heard and involved in decisions regarding school district funds and expenditures. I trust that the board members have understood this directive.
Thank you, Ms. Mead.
Should the board fail to exercise its granted power wisely, voters may seek to remove board members and pursue a greater fiscal control via the ballot box.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Russell.
Charles Russell of Concord, Ward 5. I speak against going forward with the money for the design project. At a hearing in December, 40 people spoke against moving the school. One said, let's move it to broken ground. The board's decision was totally unresponsive to the overwhelming testimony. We're aware of what happened with the charter petition. Voters have a final say on relocation. After 65% of the voters approved that amendment, this board finally acknowledged it by rescinding that. The June 22 application for school building aid said 80 million, yet it turned into 165 million. Nashua opened a $90 million school. Are they smarter down there than in Concord? We're now facing a potentially very divisive vote to move forward on $164 million middle school design. Let's emphatically state now is not the time to go forward and commit more tax dollars. We are on the verge of a financial pandemic where the economic dislocation and disruption to our lives could be very comparable to what we experienced in COVID. And so don't go forward. I think that would be the gentle sentiment. If you do, then certainly another charter amendment will be discussed, and it'd say something like any new school or renovation project exceeding $90 million must first have voter approval. If such an amendment were to pass, you'll have to consider how to lower the cost of the new school to ever secure voter approval. So perhaps you could think about that now rather than have that whole scenario follow through. State building aid touted as up to $70 million, won't be in this year's budget. Will it ever be there? I urge you not to go forward with the expenditures. Architects may sit here and paint a rosy picture, but remember, every rose bush has many more thorns than flowers. Recent town meeting votes and current New Hampshire show New Hampshire taxpayer sentiment against new spending. Amherst rejected a new school bond for the third year in a row. Bedford rejected a bond for a second fire station. Merrimack Valley and Pembroke school districts, I'm sure you're very aware of it. It's time to listen to the voters. Now is not the time to approve this new spending. Manchester aldermen have the final vote say on the school district budget, and they want a $9 million cut on the school budget's, school district's $245 million budget. Could that scenario be in Concord's future? I think I'd also say parenthetically, after hearing about the discrimination affidavit that has to be signed, I personally find the use of the word kiddos as condescending and very demeaning, and it's frequently used in this board, and I think somebody ought to suggest that it end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mickelvitz.
Good evening, Steve Michaelovitz, Ward 10. Thank you for the opportunity to testify this evening. In a continuing effort to work with the board relative to the proposed middle school project completion, I'm going to reiterate 3 concerns that have been documented in previous testimony but have not as yet been addressed. Number 1, since the meeting of 10 July 2023, I, as well as others, have requested that the board engage the public in a true back-and-forth dialogue about the many issues surrounding the middle school project. The closest we have come to that is when board members, after a public meeting, choose to engage members of the public off the record in conversation. We need formal opportunities for public dialogue with the board still. Number 2, we need to have an immediate pause in the contracted services of the current architects until some of the lingering unknowns, such as school building aid, other state school funding, and the true condition of the current Rundlet Middle School building, the true possibilities for renovation, rebuilding, or a combination thereof are known. And finally, to that end, as we reach yet another turning point in the middle school project ongoing since 2017, a full 8 years, the board needs to engage a qualified owner project manager who is completely independent with no ties, fiduciary or otherwise, to the proposed middle school issue, and who will work in the interests of the citizens of Concord, the taxpayers, as this project moves forward, and who will provide us with a professional, unbiased set of assessments as recommended in the 2024 school building construction document provided by the State Department of Education. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Rebecca Massini.
Rebecca Massini, I'm in Ward 5. I have a 9th grader at the high school, and I appreciate all the work that you've all done, and I can tell how much you love the students and care about them. I have a little different perspective from another citizen, but I agree with the sentiments. In Ernest Hemingway's novel, The Sun Also Rises, the character Mike Campbell is asked how he went bankrupt, and he replies, 2 ways, gradually, then suddenly. And I think Concord taxpayers can relate. Year after year, our taxes go up gradually, and then suddenly people go bankrupt, choosing between property tax and medicine, property tax and food, property tax and heat, or property tax and childcare. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, of the 234 incorporated towns or cities in New Hampshire, Concord ranks 156th in median household income. This puts it about the 66th percentile. One step above us is the town of Monroe, which is in northwest Vermont, right on the Connecticut River. Monroe outranks the state capital in median household income. In 2023, the median household income in Concord was $83,000, about half of what it is in Bedford or Hanover. Though it's the state capital, Concord is a working-class town. I hope that our elected officials, you and the city councilors, are aware of that fact and that you care about it. Because we are looking at $350 million for proposed multiple high-ticket projects all at once, middle school, police station, Memorial Field, golf clubhouse, it's hard to look at all that. This city is very diverse. It's increasingly diverse. and I hope that there's no thought to remake it in the image of Bedford or Hanover. How do we go bankrupt? Gradually, then suddenly. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Brown?
I'm not nearly as eloquent as Rebecca. I just want to tell you about three things. Concord Earth Day event is a community conversation on April 21st from 6 to 8 at the community center. We will have Maggie Goodlander, Congresswoman, as our keynote speaker. We will be hearing from each of the committees, our Tree Committee, Conservation Commission, Energy and Environment, Transportation Policy, Solid Waste Advisory, and our mayor to talk about what we're doing for sustainability. So I hope you can make it. I would like to bring up some other numbers that Rebecca had said. We're working towards sustainability today, and I want you to know what the city, and I'm on a number of those committees, what we're doing. I am speaking as a taxpayer, as a member of some of those committees. There was an article in Kiplinger's about their revaluation. You know that we're in the middle of our revaluation, and it won't be done until 2026. However, Rochester found that after their revaluation, mobile homes values shot up 208%. Condo values rose 94%. Single-family homes rose 73%. I brought this up to the city manager, and he was not surprised. He fully expects that to be the same for Concord. So when we think about how 43% of the public school students qualify for free and reduced lunches, which for a family of four is 57,000, the increases are going to really hit our families hard, and I think we really should consider it and really look at how we can tap into the resources, the people, the things, the skills, and also the funds. If there is a maintenance fund, let's tap into it. Let's not bond more. Let's not increase our taxes. And I have a suggestion. I know, I think the wage increase for administrators is 3.5%. That's like $419,336. I know Chris Rath, the former superintendent, her salary stayed flat for a number of years. So maybe as a cost savings, we could just say no raises for administrators, and we would have a savings of $419,000.
It's principals and assistant principals.
Principals. Okay, are they making more than $57,000? Maybe they would be willing to keep their salaries flat while recognizing that those in the lower tax bracket actually. The New Hampshire Finance Policy Institute has stated that all families that make $35,000 and less, 8.9% of their income goes towards taxes. That's more than any other income bracket. So please think about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. I look forward to the city budget where all administrators and everybody making over $56,000 doesn't get a pay raise. We're going to go to votes. First vote, we're going to start with policy 545. Is there a motion? 544.
Do you mind if I'll do the motions?
Sure.
You got it. All right. I move to approve policy 544 as amended on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Meeker, second by Ms. Boucher. Discussion. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 544 passes. Policy 161.
I move that we approve the repeal and replace of policy 161 as amended with accompanying plan on second reading.
Is there a second? Second. Moved by Ms. Meeker, second by Ms. Boucher. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
I move that we approve policy 161.1 as amended on second reading.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Meeker, second by Ms. Boucher. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item is the CAA contract.
I move acceptance of the CAA contract as presented by the negotiations committee.
Moved by Ms. Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hastings. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item is last day of school of June 17th.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Richard.
Seconded.
Second by Mr.
I haven't
Dowski.
written it down yet, guys.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next is the motion to remain on the building aid list.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Boucher. Discussion.
I have a question.
Ms. Hastings.
I want to make sure that I'm understanding what we're looking at here, and I was looking for it in my book.
It's
this
right
book.
here.
It's a separate.
Yes, but it would be, what are we looking to stay on the?
Stay on the list, the prioritized state list for building aid. We have to submit by May 1st if we want to stay on the list for this year and future.
And then in
years.
order to do that, we have to go on with schematic design?
No.
That's a separate thing?
That's a separate discussion.
Okay, so staying on the list doesn't cost us anything?
No.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of.
Any further discussion? We think it's unlikely that there will be a building aid this year. I don't know about the next biennium. I think one of the discussions both the building committee and capital facilities have had, and that we'll probably have in the next vote, is the increase in costs of delay. The 90 million school that we talked about in 2017, well, we're 12 years down the road. And construction inflation has been, had some peaks in the past few years.
But I also would say, and I apologize for neglecting this, is that looking at delays, we're talking, and I asked this question specifically of our building experts, we're talking between 2 and 4 or 5% a year of an increase in, that's normal. It was 13% a couple years ago, 7%, but if you do the research over the course of the last 15 years, it's generally 2 to 5%.
That being said, I would still like to get building aid, so I'm going to vote to stay on the list and hope they come to their senses in Concord.
Someday.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Then the last vote on this, in this series, is the recommendation to move forward with schematic design. Moved by Ms. Boucher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Discussion.
I have a question. Have we looked at the schematic design that we did several years, like, when's the last time we all looked at that?
We did not do a schematic design for
Runlet.
Runlet. We did, no. We did a,
That was the one with the YMCA. I just remember all these.
that wasn't a schematic design,
Okay.
that was a conceptual diagram.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're clear.
And
Yes, no, good point.
Thank you.
they are going to try and bring as many of the elements of what the work they've done at Broken Ground into this design, but they're the soil samples, the storm drainage. There is actually no drainage, stormwater drainage system at Runlet, for example. All of those things, the testing around that has to be done over.
So that's
'cause
part of the
it-
schematic.
This is that's part of
I
this.
don't want it to seem like we're repeating something. Okay.
That's a good question.
There are things
Thank
we're
you.
repeating
We
because
are.
it's a different
No,
location,
that I
but yeah.
understand, but in terms of repeating
Yeah.
from Broken Ground.
Yep.
Okay.
That's helpful.
We're not repeating prior Runlets.
Well, right, a lot, but a lot,
That's
that comes
Nope.
up a lot, though. Why are we doing
Yeah.
that again? I remember
Yes.
looking at buildings on
Yeah.
that site and this and that. I wanted to clarify that that's not what we're talking about.
Tina, do you want to just expand on that at all?
Sure. So we are keeping a lot of the work that we did at the Broken Ground site because it's all the same program. right? And the building components have to come together in a certain way. So all of that is reusable. Actually, the classroom pods look exactly the same. We put a lot of work into that with the committees and the working group, and we can keep that. We just need to tweak some of the parts, like the gym and the theater, and how they come together so it fits on this smaller, tighter site. What has to be redone completely, obviously, is the site design, because it's a different site. So the site survey has to get done for this site, geotechnical investigations, wildlife, site permitting. So those things will get done anew for this site.
Thank you. Question. Ms. Meeker.
I would just say that I support this because this is a choice that we made, right? We voted as a board to put it at this location with the intent of building on this location. And the only way we can do that is to move forward with schematic design. And it feels uncomfortable knowing that we have spent money that we're not going to see the fruits of, but that is a decision that we made. And so this is just the next step in that process. It feels very proactive to do so.
Mr. Richards?
Yes, as you know, I preferred the broken ground site so that we wouldn't have to make this additional expenditure. And in addition, it would, building at broken ground was $8 to $12 million less expensive. But in the public testimony, overwhelmingly, the citizens that testified wanted this to be at the South Street site, and they said that they were willing to pay extra for that. So I will listen to the voice of the community, and I will vote for this.
I just want to address, and I don't want to go through it all, but I would encourage people to watch, if they haven't, the building committee meeting from last month where we discussed renovation. That is where the district started these discussions a long time ago. And the reasons have not changed. I think we revisited it again at the building committee. Even when we talk about, can we just stick a new roof on there? We are going to try and patch the roof to keep the building going, but to stick a new roof, we have to remove all of the HVAC system. So it's not as easy as that. And, it's a very big, complicated thing to renovate. Costly, still doesn't get us a building that meets current codes, still doesn't give us a building with appropriate classroom sizes, still doesn't give us a building that is truly accessible to all of our students. This vote tonight is to do the design, the first phase of the design. It is not to go forward to build. That, there's 3 or 4 dozen more votes before we get to that stage. But in order to continue moving forward, this would be the next step.
This
Ms. Campbell.
Yeah, this over.
No, you.
Okay. This may already be out in the world, and I just didn't notice. It would be helpful for me to see what's included in the price of the schematic design, just to follow up on Barb's question, just so I can speak clearly to no, it may seem like we paid for this already, but we do need to do this testing over, et cetera. So just so I can speak clearly to that, that would be helpful. And then the second part to this is I am still hesitant without having a project manager. And I want to acknowledge that that would be an additional cost to this project, and it may make, I do hear a lot from our audience, right? It went from 90 million to where we are today, and this would add to that increase in the future. But for my own sense of making sure there's somebody there advocating in a non, I don't know what the word is, whatever, I would really like a project manager to consider that, so.
Can you just, what's included in the next phase? I think it's in the minutes, but if you just could give a brief summary.
Sure. So basically, it would bring us to the phase where we were almost with the broken ground site. So it's not just the architects working on it, it's all the engineers. So it's the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, structural, acoustic, theater consultant. It's that whole team of people. And included in that is also civil, landscape, geotechnical, all of the consultants that we would need. So we didn't quite finish design development at the Broken Ground site. We were almost there. We were about 60% done. So this would bring us through design development and would allow you to get a good cost estimate from your CM, from Harvey. So we would design the site and give them all those documents, and that way you would understand where you are, because they technically haven't, we don't have any drawings for the Runlet site. So they've been just sort of guessing at some of the estimate that we have right now. And obviously the goal would be to bring it in lower, right? At that point, you could also do a value engineering exercise, and you could take another hard look at the parts and pieces of the building and decide, what number would be right for you and for Concord.
Thank you.
On the second question, I'm going to refer that to Capital Facilities and ask them to take a look at that. I think, initially it was Mr. Cashman served that role for the elementary projects. So the role is in our project. It's whether it's an outsider, unlike a lot of other school districts, we have in-house expertise, to offset some of those other costs, but it's a discussion worth having. Again, I'll ask Mr. Richards to bring it to Capital.
I will do that. I also want to point out that this board, or prior board, the immediately preceding board, opted to hire a construction manager in Harvey. That's not something that's always included in a project, but we decided to do that to be able to search out these cost savings. We specifically went to and looked at that, but I will note that Harvey Construction are the people who did the construction work in Nashua on that $90 million school, and they bring their expertise to us and have brought their expertise to us. So they are, we hired that with the full expectation that they would minimize the cost and keep the costs low. So I just will remind everybody of that.
And we had hired them specifically for the estimating phase. Once we get to the construction phase, we will again do
We'll go
a
out on
bidding
bid for
bidding process for construction management. There was a bidding process. There were outside members who helped choose Harvey Construction to serve as this role for the design process and the estimating process.
I think Ms. Sadowski.
Did you have a question?
Yes, please. I just wanted to lift up the question that was asked in the March 6th minutes. And that is, with the state aid up in the air and the impacts of tariffs kind of to be determined, what portions of the schematic might need to be redone if we wait?
We had that discussion at the building committee, and I think, touched on it, that we'll have to look. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that would bring the cost down will probably increase long-term maintenance costs, like using an old school gas-fired furnace instead of trying to go geothermal and things. But those are the discussions we will have after the design phase to see what we can do that. We can go back to taking out the theater and all those things too, and we'll have those discussions. Miss
You can go first.
Hastings and Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. We're looking at this almost $3 million for schematic design, is that correct? And does that have a lifetime? Is it only good for a certain amount of time?
We got asked this question before. The codes have just recently been updated, so I don't foresee you not being able to use this if you put it on the shelf for, a couple years, potentially.
And am I right in assuming that if we don't have any state building aid, that we are not likely to continue with building a new school at this point in time?
I think that's an open discussion.
That's a motion.
And then
We haven't really had that conversation.
Right. I will say the building committee thinks that we probably have to at some point make a decision because it's just getting more expensive. So, if we keep waiting for state aid that doesn't come, what state aid might be will be eaten up by construction inflation.
Well, this is, to just look at, Barb will remember this, is in 2017, when it was estimated at 78 million for just, that's not really an apples to apples to where we are now, because there's no contingencies or anything else in that. But at that time, we waited because there was no state aid, and we've waited, and now the price is up to 164 for the South Street location. I asked specifically this question to Mr. Kelly from Harvey Construction, and his response to me is that the cost of construction never goes down. Sometimes it doesn't go up as much, and sometimes it goes up a lot, but the cost of construction does not ever go down. And we heard about fiduciary responsibility and our fiscal responsibility, and I think I know everybody on this board enough to know that we take that fiscal responsibility very, very seriously. And I'm very proud to say that the boards prior to this always take it seriously, the people on it. I am very concerned that if you spend $25 million to patch up a school for 5 years, to spend $200 million on that just because we delayed it a little later, that's a concern.
We're just being cheap at that point.
Exactly. I would have a hard time saying, yes, I would vote for this continuing on the schematic design if we're not really seriously thinking about building a new school in the next couple of years, because it just doesn't make sense. Right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought I saw Ms. Higgins. No, okay.
I was just
I just thought.
Hi.
Hi.
Just
Ms.
a
Robinson.
comment. I would advise us as a board to not succumb to changing goalposts all the time. We hear a lot of people who come to us and say, oh, you better not. And I worry that might cloud our better judgment. I think once you get elected to public service, people often forget that we are neighbors and citizens in this community that also pay property taxes. And it's a real misguided, I think, complaint to come to us and argue about a regressive taxation system that we have in our state that is entirely out of our control. What we can control are the actions we take now to not waste money later, which is something this board has been doing over and over again in my experience. So I would like to see us continue to make smart fiscal decisions like this to be sure that, because it's going to cost more to do the schematic later anyway, just because of inflation and labor. Let's not fool ourselves. We have this crazy economic situation we're living through now that will not alleviate itself anytime soon if we can take precaution or precautious measures that can set us up for success later. Even if the future is unknown, I'm going to lean in that direction real hard.
Thank you. Ms. Boucher?
Thank you. And the only one thing I wanted to say, Brenda, is that we need the schematic design to see what things cost in order to see where we can make cuts to make the cost lower.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't see any other way but besides going for the schematic design. So we have it, because I agree with everything, but that otherwise we won't know what we can cost or what we can change building material.
But if we knew we weren't going to build, if we don't get the state aid, I just don't see the point in doing this. But as you said, it would go up
If we don't get the
next time.
state aid, I don't see why we would not build.
Anyway.
We need to make cuts,
Right.
if that's the case. And the only way we know what to make cuts is to
know
have
what
a
it's gonna
schematic
cost.
design.
Okay.
Can I add one
Yes,
thing?
yeah.
And if you actually did the set of drawings, if state aid came back, you would be shovel ready. So that would be one reason why you might actually do the whole set of drawings and be ready to go. Because if you only finish what we're talking about here up to design development, you still have almost another year of design left after that. So if you could imagine that you heard like funding was going to be ready, you would want to be ready to go. And there isn't anything in like those drawings that would be a major shift that would have to take place if, even if a code changed, it would be minor tweaks to what you have drawn.
Further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Any abstentions? Motion passes. All right, personnel. Spring coaches. Ms. Guerin.
Okay, we have 2 new spring coaches, spring track and field assistant coach for Concord High School, and an intramural strength training co-coach at Concord High School. The new spring coaches.
Can I get a motion to approve spring coaches?
So moved.
Moved by Ms.
Second.
Higgins, seconded by Ms. Robinson. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. New teacher nominations.
Okay, we have a new classroom teacher for Abbott Downing, Tara Terrian, and a reading specialist for Broken Ground, Jennifer Goslin.
I move acceptance of the new teacher nominations.
I second.
Moved by Ms. Robinson, seconded by Ms. Sadowski. Discussion.
M14?
Reading specialist.
Could we get
Great question.
an explanation?
Yeah,
as to
we
that?
do, we do. Reading, first of all, experienced reading teachers are hard to find. This woman comes to us with a lot of experience and was the choice of the team, obviously, that was part of the interview process. After a thorough review, reference checks, and calling her administrators, was a very positive outcomes. I had a excellent interview with her, and I feel that, that's one area where you have to spend some money to get a qualified reading teacher, and they're tough to find. I won't kid you. Yeah, and that's right. Kim reminds me, they have to have a master's degree in order to be a reading specialist.
Right, but it's the 14, we don't normally, we
don't.
try to avoid that.
Our goal is M5. I have, yes, yeah, you are absolutely right. I have some interviews on my table to do this week and next week, and they're all, brand-new teachers or, B4s or whatever. But in this position, you'll see a few more like this. You may see some in math.
Speech and language.
Speech and language is another area, very tough to find. And there's just not a lot of them out there. So it makes it tough, and it's very competitive. And we usually have a pretty good chance of hiring somebody with some experience, and it's to the benefit of our kids.
Okay.
No, I have a question. Are there certifications that go along with what types of reading programs they're certified in? Some reading specialists
Yeah,
have
it
different
depends. If
reading
they come in with Orton Gillingham, they might come in with Wilson certified.
She's in the letters program.
And, she was in the letters program, which all of our staff are doing right now. So, there are certifications that they have. Everybody brings in something a little different.
And what is her experience of what reading programs are?
She's doing letters, right?
She's doing it now.
Yeah.
I don't.
She's in the advanced letters class, it's very much,
Go ahead.
very much versed in the science of reading, very much was helping her former district transition from a balanced literacy approach to a more structured literacy approach. And they did adopt a program, I can't recall what the program was, but she is current in her research.
Is she Orton Gillingham?
I believe so.
I'd have to go back and look at her resume to give you all that information, honestly, Liz. Off the top of my head, I don't have it.
I would just be interested to
Yeah.
know, given.
I will check on that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. CEA nominations,
Yes.
pages 153 to 159.
Yes. I'm not going to read them.
That is quite all right. This is for our returning
Returning classroom
classroom teachers.
teachers,
To offer
yes.
them contracts for next year.
I move, go ahead, you take it.
I move that we accept the returning teacher nominations for the 25-26 school year.
Moved by Ms. Higgins.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Robinson. Discussion.
I just want a clarification from the superintendent. This is all in accordance with the budget that we just
Yes.
passed? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
But for the one we just okayed, the new reading specialist, that was 30,000 more than budgeted.
Correct. I mean, these positions are all in
These
the
are,
budget. You
These were
approved it.
already
Right.
budgeted. But point taken.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. the veterans' salary schedule.
Yes, we're bringing forward 8 members have applied out of the 42 who are eligible to apply, and they are listed in their ranking order for their applications from 26.67 years of service down to 17 years of service. These teachers will retire at the end of June 27.
Is there a motion? Moved by Ms. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Robinson. Is there discussion?
I'm not sure.
Could I just?
Oh, sorry.
You're first.
The same
Ms. Campbell, Ms. Karen, can you explain a little bit more about the veterans'
Yes,
salary
there's
schedule?
it's in their collective bargaining agreement. If they have at least a certain age and years of service, they're eligible to apply for a veteran salary schedule. It is a 2-year retirement. It is an incentive for retirement that they will be based on their years of experience. So they'll get an additional sum in their contract at the end when they retire.
And when can they apply for this?
There's a formula in their collective bargaining agreement. They have to be a certain age by a certain date and a certain number of years of service.
They have to retire. It
And
was
they
an incentive
do-
years ago.
Yeah.
When things were quite different, so I'm sometimes surprised we still have it, but,
Yeah.
but, so it was to encourage teachers to retire.
Did we change the years of service? 'Cause
No.
I thought it was 20.
No.
At least a minimum of 20
It
now.
has something to do with age.
Combo with
A
age.
combo of.
Yeah.
This hasn't changed.
Okay.
If
And
you were
remember,
interested-
this is their years of service now, not
Correct.
in 2
Right.
years from now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point.
We can talk about it
Mm-hmm.
more, but I'm sure it'll come up in collective bargaining.
Sure will.
Any further discussion? No. Did that answer your question, Ms. Sadowski?
Yes, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Monthly enrollment reports, page 161.
Not much change. You can see it pretty steady. We're still watching numbers. Really, the page that I like to refer to is 162. We're looking at those, keeping a very close eye on 2 areas. One, Beaver Meadow, and at Broken Ground. So I'm watching those, working with both of the principals as new registrations come in. So I'll keep you posted on that. That's really the only places that I see any concerns in terms of what, along with your class size guidelines.
And next month's meetings, or this month and next month's meetings.
I actually put in for June too, just because you had such a busy
Okay.
end of the year. So right now, this week on Wednesday, we have a communication policy. Next week, negotiations and finance with city community on Wednesday. So pretty standard. We're back to our regular meetings on Monday and Wednesday. On the 21st is executive committee and instructional committee, and on the 23rd, we put in capital facilities. We don't know if you want another one, or it's a time when there wasn't a meeting scheduled, but given all the discussion, I didn't know if you wanted to have one, or you want me to hold on it.
When?
The 23rd of April.
There's nothing on there.
It's
No,
nothing right now. I'm not suggesting
Are
a
you
capital.
Confused.
Do we need another one?
Do we need a capital facilities meeting?
I could
I
put it.
would want to confer with Mr. Cashman.
All right, why don't I hold on that, not put anything in until, and I'll,
I'm going to add that the 22nd is the joint Memorial Field meeting at 5 PM at
Yes.
the conference,
in
City Hall
addition to the
conference room.
one that you just had.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the 22nd, yes.
April 22nd, yep,
What time?
5 PM.
Okay.
Yes, much better than 4:30.
Okay, great. May calendar, that first week in the few days in May is finishing up on the spring break. Your school board meeting will be on the 5th and a finance committee on the 7th. Communication and policy and instructional the week of the 12th. Again, sticking to your Monday, Wednesday schedule. The 19th will be the executive committee and city and community. Capital facilities again. Memorial Day, the schools will be closed on that Monday. And on the 28th is your distinguished educators and a moment to celebrate retirees at a ceremony at ADS at 6 o'clock. And we'll get reminders out on that. It's a really nice event for everyone. I did plug in June because you're so busy. So the first Monday of the month is a school board meeting with Capitol Facilities that week. Instructional committee and communication on the week of the 9th. I remind everybody that the 14th is high school graduation, 10 a.m. at Memorial Field. The week of the 16th, I have a feeling that Bridget already knew the last day was going to be the 17th. How did she get that in this calendar?
She was hopeful. She's so good.
Yeah, she had a premonition, I think, that you would support that. Anyway, we noted that 17th. Concord Market Days are the week of 19, 20, 21, 22, kind of. Is it on Sunday too?
Nope.
Just the 21st,
Thursday,
right?
Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'll come to the board to see if anybody wants to volunteer for the community art project this year. The theme for this year is Love Where You Live. They're doing a wedding at Market Days. You can apply to get married at Market Days. And everything's included from the music to the reception, and the main stage concert will be the reception. So everybody gets to play.
That's fun.
Mhm.
That's fun.
Those are
Right? I'm like, maybe I want to get remarried.
I think you should apply.
Vow renewals are also open.
The rest of June is up for grabs at this point. We just don't know
I like it.
really
Leave it blank.
what's
Yeah.
happening.
The week of the 23rd is track camp, so there can be
All right,
no
so we
capital
can't-
facilities,
Got
no comp policy, and no city community relations, just to be clear.
From your lips to God's ears.
All right, I know it's late, but I'm going to move that we go into a non-public meeting under RSA 91A3 to discuss legal matters. Is there anything else that we might be discussing, any personnel or student-related matters?
Maybe student stuff.
Okay, so under the exceptions for legal and to discuss students' information.
Seconded.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Is there discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings?
Yes.
Ms. Higgins?
Yep.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yep.
Ms. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
We will be coming back to close out the meeting, but we won't be doing anything substantive, so we will let the television folks go home. Thank you.